Hey guys, it's Ben with Myers Woodshop. Today we're going over the Ortur Obsidian 3D printer. This one's just coming to market. I have the earlier pre-release machine they sent me. I tested out, gave them some feedback. Now we have the release machine. So let's open that up and take a look and see if this printer's any good. Now you probably recognize the Ortur name from the other videos I did. That was the Laser Master 2 and the Laser Master 1. Both of those were very good lasers, and I highly recommend buying one of those if you're looking to get into a laser. You can check that out in my other videos. But let's see if they can get into 3D printing and this be as good as a purchase as the laser. All right, so in the box we got the typical foam on top. We have the FDM Ortur printer, shows us how we attach everything together. We do have 9 steps on the instructions. So in the middle, we have a bag full of bolts and wrenches and nuts, pulleys and Z-stops and everything in there. We have the power cord, the handle. We have some Bowden tubing, snippers. 2 blocks of wood. That doesn't make any sense, but okay. You have a roll of filament. We have an X, or 2 Z rails, dual Zs. Looks like we have the X-rail with the extruder all assembled on that. That looks like the full rail. Take that apart. And that's what it looks like. So we have a probe in this because of the silicone sock and the filament sensor over here. So below that we have the base, and I think the base is all pretty much pre-assembled. There's the base. It's all pre-assembled. So I can already tell this is not tight from the factory. And here is our rail, and then we have an SD card in the slot already. So let's assemble this. At this point, I have everything assembled and we're ready to plug it in and turn it on and check out the operating system. So we have load, motion, extrude, tool, and print. Let's go to tool. We can see we have leveling, power on, power loss recovery on or off, factory reset, diagnose, shows you the X, Y, Z probe and such. The light. Did it just break? Oh, that filament broke. Light on, light off. We have power on or power off for the machine. We're running Marlin RTOS 2.1.6. We have motion. So let's try that out. You can see it's moving. But it won't move until we home everything. Let's see, if I home, it would be the center button. We may have to adjust this Z height over here. Filament is pretty brittle. It snapped inside of the line here, so I'm going to throw that out. May have to get some new filament. So it does a little sensor, and that head is still pretty far away from the bed. But I did crank it down a whole lot. So now we can raise the Z up and down accordingly once you level it or home it. So let's go to tool, we'll go to leveling, click on automatic leveling and click on auto leveling. So we are going to have to adjust this probe because it just jabbed right into the bed because this probe is too far away. So that worked out pretty well, but what we need to do is go back to motion and let's get this right over the bed like that. And we're going to move the Z down to where the Z tip is basically touching the bed, but the probe is not. And I think we're good here. We want the probe to just be about a twist tie thickness away from the bed. So we're going to go back to motion. Sorry, we're going to go to tool. We're going to go to leveling. We'll click on leveling manual. And we'll just move it manually for now, and then we'll go to auto level after that. All right. So that's manual leveling. Now we'll go to auto leveling, and we'll try it auto level. Give us some mesh bed leveling. That looks like it's going to do it right. It does run into the end. It's kind of weird. I don't understand why it does. It's like it doesn't move all the way this far as it should. And that is leveled. So we'll just click Save Mesh over here. I'm going to save it one more time. So I'm going to go back and we're going to go to temperature and we'll heat up the bed. and the hot end to 190 and 60. All right, everything's heated up correctly. So we're gonna go back to, let's see, where are we going? We're going to extrude. And I guess we're gonna do load. And we should push the filament in before we click load because it just wants to start. So I was not prepared for that. Wow, this filament is so brittle. I don't think it's gonna print. I can't get it through. This is one of the problems there is with this filament sensor, is it does not want to go through this hole up here. So this is the filament sensor, and there's a hole right here where it's got to go in. It comes out of this tubing and it goes back into another tubing. And if you don't have it curved just right, which my filament wants to roll this way naturally, if it is not curved just right or very, very straight, I actually want to curve it up, it will go through and get caught right here and stick. You can see I put the filament in and I just start pushing, and I can't push it any farther because it's getting caught here because it's rolled. There's no way to fix that. I can't jag it up. I have to try to put the filament in maybe at an upside down angle, which is nearly impossible because it's round. So when I shove it through and trying to keep it up, I cannot get it through. I have to maybe get tweezers or these blue pliers to try to lift it up to fit into the hole, which I can't get it through. So this filament sensor is not designed very well. It needs like a V shape to like a funnel to accept this filament and direct it through the hole, because I can't get it. Oh, there it goes. Finally. So it's not easy to get in, I'll tell you that much, but we're through. The filament's in, we'll click load. Should start plowing filament out through the nozzle. I can grab the filament back here and I can feel that there's filament getting fed. So it's got to feed it all the way down through to here, which takes a little bit of time because it is spinning slowly. I can almost start seeing filament, and now you can see filament just gushing out. So it looks like we got it good there. So it just keeps spewing until we hit stop. So we'll hit stop since we're out now, and we're good. And now the only way to really get this going is that really just wants to just keep spewing out. And get our Z height correct is to go back, and we'll go to print, and we'll print one of these things. We have 6 different things on here. I have no idea what they are. They're in a different language, and I have no idea how long it'll take to print. So we're just going to click on one and hit confirm, and it's going to start printing, and we'll adjust our Z at that time. So here it goes, and it's printing. Our Z is too high, and we have to hit the baby step, and we'll go down by 0.1 at a time. I went a little too far. The baby stepping works really well and real fast. And we're gonna save it right there. So we'll just let this print and see what it actually comes out as, because I don't know. This is a really silent printer. I can barely hear anything. The only thing I can hear is some weird sound coming from the fan. It's kind of like a piece of paper is stuck in there or something from this front fan, but I'm not sure. But it is overall generally silent. If you had it in a room next to you, you wouldn't hear this printing. My mic is right next to it, and you can barely hear anything. You really just hear this fan. If I hold something on there, you don't hear that fan at all. So that fan is really what is the loudest part of this printer. So I'm going to come back when this is done printing. We'll see what it looks like, and we'll start dialing in the printer as we go.
A few moments later.
All right, we can see it just finished. Apparently this file was a bunch of the air ducts, and we had a failure here. And I think it's just because these didn't stick to the build plate very well, because they're printing at an angle, although the printing was pretty decent. The quality of this print is not super perfect. It's kind of layer line. This isn't really a good test print to judge things on, but I guess this one is just an air duct that goes on this down here, and it'll connect so you have backups. But let's try another file and see what happens off of the SD card. And I'm going to clean this bed with some alcohol, so maybe we'll get some better sticking, although I never did touch it first. And then I'll start file 2, and we'll take a look at the next print. Okay, actually what I found is that there is no filament going through here, or there is, it just broke back here. And the filament is really kind of garbage. I think it's so brittle it's not working, and it just snapped here. So I'm gonna actually just remove all the filament that's in there and put on a good bag of filament, some Hatchbox, that's my go-to, and then we'll know if it's the filament was part of the problem. So on the next print, I'm gonna print with Hatchbox. Test, test, test. All right, just finished this print, and it looks like every file on the SD card is gonna be a piece to the machine. So this is the filament holder that's over on the side there. And since this is not a magnetic bed, it's hard to get off, but there we go. This isn't the best PLA. It's silky, so it needs a higher temperature, so my bottom layer didn't really print so well, but all the other layers printed really well. So here is the silky PLA. Top layer is pretty good. Holes round. Bottom layer is kind of trash. I was dialing in that layer. But everything's pretty good so far. So now I need to slice something and print with it, and we'll see how it does. All right, so it just finished up this part. Came off pretty easy. We got some supports on here. I'll take those off. They came off pretty easy. I don't know what part this is for. Again, I'm just printing the random files that are on this thing, but the print came out pretty well. You can see how it looks. We are missing some gaps around the center of this circle, but functionally it works well. I can't break it. Pretty good. So now I'm gonna skip out of printing stuff that they already have on the SD card, and we're gonna go ahead and slice some stuff that I create and print it on here, and let's take a look at how it prints. So I just started printing. This is a print that is not going very well. It is not sticking to the bed. So I'm gonna stop the print, or attempt to, but it's really hard to touch these buttons because the screen is down in it, and if I want to touch this top little pause button, I can't get my finger to stick in there. All right, so you can see I stopped it. It's not going very well. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the print again. Maybe it was my, the first try on that. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe it off. Now, the filament, wipe it off with some isopropyl alcohol. Now the filament I use is Hatchbox PLA, and I've always had exceptionally good quality with that. Now you can see I'm hitting the arrow button to the right, and I'm still not going to the right. I have to jam it a few times to be able to select the one I want to print. But finally I selected it. Let's see if it can get further than what we had in there. So it's now printing. I had some trouble sticking to the bed. So we got some good sticking to the bed in the back, but the front is just not level. and it's not staying level. So I'll go into baby stepping, and I think I moved it down twice. And here I am, I can't go back. And the print is going to print. I'm going to let it print for a while. I think it's going to be pretty terrible because it looks pretty bad from underneath. Nope. It is jacked up. So let's stop it. And you can see how terrible. See how terrible of a print this is. It's not laying down here. It's too close to the bed. It's just terrible. One section, one little part is going to be perfect, and then the other part, it just completely strings. Then the other part, it doesn't even come out. And this is after I've leveled the bed. So I'm going to go ahead and level the bed one more time. Give it a try. All right, here we go again. I just re-leveled the board. Re-leveled the machine. Maybe there's something up with the leveling. Let's check it out. I think I need to baby step it down a little bit. Maybe up. I'm going to stop the print. Try to stop the print. Can't get my finger in the hole. There we go. We are actually getting a full print there. So let's hit play. Try to hit play. I cannot hit the little green part. Thinks I want a baby step. The screen is pretty terrible. I hear it clicking, but it won't accept the touch. Just trying to use something pointy. I can't hit the play button. It won't let me hit play. Oh, there it goes. So I have to use this little stick to actually hit individual pieces. The screen is just horrendous. I can't hit any of the buttons. Make sure we get a good first layer. It looks like we have finally a good first layer that's printing. So we'll check back here in a minute. So we got a good first layer that's actually printing finally. So we'll check back and see how this comes out. Okay, this is my first print. Taking it off. Hey, it printed well. It did print. It's a vase that they had on their SD card. It didn't print like anything I would actually use, but it printed, and we can see what it is. It does have a little bit of a raft here. Just take that off. The raft printed nice and smooth, but this printed. I don't know. This texture is real weird, and I can tell it's like single walled. It's very, very thin. I could probably bust it if I squeeze it. So this is a not very good test of the quality of the machine. This was 0.2, but I mean, the The vase itself is okay. I'm going to print at 0.3 a rocket. I'm going to try to get it pretty big on this bed. So let's try that. All right, so I just realized I'm going to have to stop the print here. Usually I print this Hatchbox PLA at 200, and I'm printing it at 200 on the Ortur, but it's coming out really, really crinkly and crunchy, which means it's not printing hot enough to get the layers to adhere. So I'm going to rip this thing off and re-upload at 210 instead of 200, which is interesting because most of the time I print this at 200, so I need to print it hotter on this Ortur. But let's see if that comes out any better. If it was gonna print, it would have printed this a lot better, but we'll see. Maybe that's the reason that that vase didn't come out so well. Well, I just came out to check what's going on. My screen is black, and the print is printing air, and it has been for some time. I can hear it click, but nothing's happening. So I have no clue. The extruder is no longer spinning. Part fan is not spinning. This fan over here on the side to keep it cool is not spinning. I'm going to kill the power. My hot end is no longer hot, but the bed is hot. So I'm going to turn it back on, I think. And it died. It won't turn on anymore. So reset button here. Oh! Reset it, turn back on. Print resume. No, we'll cancel that. I don't know what happened there. It just completely stopped. And it was going to give us a nice print, it looked like. But it just stopped printing. So we're going to go ahead and give it another try. Restarted the print, and it starts printing fine. So it's like the extruder and hot end just turned off, and the screen just turned off. So I don't know what's going on with that. Doesn't make any sense. And it seems to lose my baby step every time between prints. I don't know why. It makes no sense, but it makes the print not touch the bed. So we'll keep going. All right, here we are, we're printing. It's still looking like a pile of garbage. I'll stop it. I'm printing at a 210. Cancel the print. And I am not understanding what is going on because it's still not hard. The layer lines are not adhering to each other, which is terrible. It's going to be a failed print 100%, but it's just stringing. And none of this is holding on to each other, which is not the way I want it to go. Typically when this happens, my other printers that are reliable, it means the temperature isn't hot enough. But this is at 210. It's 10 degrees hotter than what I typically print at. So I don't think that's the case. But I'm going to crank it up to 220. See if it works. If so, then this is really messed up and doesn't make any sense. More pure garbage from this print. It's pretty awesome. I cannot get this thing to print to save my life. Just pure garbage. I will not get it to print. I hate this printer so much. I think I'm giving up, and this is where I'm going to end it.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
All right, guys, this is where I'm ending the video because I want to take a sledgehammer to this Ortur printer. I'm sorry, that's just the truth. You'll notice I have one over there and it looks identical to this one. That's because Ortur sent me that one to test out, and that was a pile of garbage and was broken from the start. I could never get anything to print. And they said, no, something's wrong, let me send you this one. That one did arrive with pieces broken and missing. This one arrived with nothing broken, but pieces not installed correctly, and I had to install it. I've taken the hot end apart about 7 different times on that one, so I know it inside and out, and I haven't had to take it apart on this one, but yet you could still see that I clearly cannot print anything worthwhile printing on this freaking machine. So don't buy this machine. It's not good. This was sent to me for free by Gearbest. They did send me a bunch of firmware updates from the Ortur team, but none of that seemed to help. I'm sorry. I wish it did, but it is not good, and do not buy this printer. If you remember, this is the Ortur version 2 that is freaking fantastic and have sold a ton, along with the Ortur version 1 of the laser, and I was really hoping that the 3D printer would be just as good. It had such potential to be good. It had some of the qualifications that I need in a 3D printer. 1, filament sensor. It's over here. Great. 2, baby stepping. It does that in the software. It baby steps. Great. It did not have a magnetic bed to pull things off, which was a bummer. The filament sensor, it's really long and there's a large gap, so I kept shoving and shoving and shoving the filament through, and it would get caught on this part when I was trying to load it. It would take like 5 minutes to try to shove that in if you don't have it just straight. So yeah, it has it, but it sucks. Obviously, I can't get it to print, and I have a lot of printers. I have a lot of knowledge. This thing is not worth my time anymore to try to print, especially after wasting a full week trying to get that thing to print, and this thing doesn't print any better. If you are going to look at this printer, and we can look at the pros of this, let's compare it to the Ender. On the ends of each end, you have these tighteners, which all you do is loosen and tighten. That tightens the belt. The Ender does not have that. That is an amazing, amazing feature that this one has. If it printed, that would be great. It doesn't print, so it doesn't really make a difference. It is ultra silent. It has silent steppers, silent drivers. Also runs Marlin version 2, which is amazing, but it runs like a weird live version of Marlin that really sucks. It doesn't make anything better, unfortunately, and because of the touchscreen, it really sucks to have to input, and I'm hitting and hitting and hitting, and you could see I didn't get it to ever actually take my finger input. So that is the review of this printer. Basically, if you're looking at the Ortur, keep on moving. Do not buy this Ortur printer. Buy the Ender 3, buy the Artillery Sidewinder. There's a bunch of other printers that I've made videos for. You can check them out in my other videos that I recommend. Don't recommend the Ortur. And it really kills me inside. Ortur, you could do better. I know that you can make some amazing machines, just like your laser. You make an amazing machine. Just make an amazing machine in the 3D printer. Perhaps this can be fixed in firmware. I can't get it to be fixed in firmware because every firmware they sent me was pretty much very similar and still never produced a very good print. Definitely not one I can print and sell. I want to sell my prints. If you want to sell your prints too, you can't do that on this printer, at least not the way I've experienced it. Hopefully some firmware updates come out, and if you already have this printer, it'll help you get this thing making something that is actually usable. If you have some thoughts about this printer, leave them in the comments down below. And if you want to check out my other videos, please check out the playlist of 3D printers. If this video helped you out, maybe steered you away from wasting your money on this printer, leave a thumbs up down below. Always subscribe, ring that bell so you can know when I come out with other videos. And I'll catch you on the next 3D printing video. Happy printing! Okay, at this point I have everything. Okay, at this point, what is this called? Obsidian. At this point, I have everything assembled and we're ready to turn it in. At this point, wow.